His Divine Grace Swami, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter number 5, text number 7. Vyasadeva is continuing. Tvam. Got it? Number 7. Tvam paryaṭann arka iva tri-lokīm antaḥ-caro vāyuḥ ivātma-sākṣī para-avare brahmaṇi dharmato vrataiḥ snātasya nyūnam alaṁ vicakṣva tvam paryaṭann arka iva tri-lokīm antaś-caro vāyur ivātma-sākṣī snātasya me nyūnam alaṁ vicakṣva tvam paryaṭann arka iva tri-lokīm antaś-caro vāyur ivātma-sākṣī para-avare brahmaṇi dharmato vrataiḥ snātasya me nyūnam alaṁ vicakṣva tvam paryaṭann arka iva tri-lokīm antaś-caro vāyur ivātma-sākṣī para-avare brahmaṇi dharmato vrataiḥ snātasya me nyūnam alaṁ vicakṣva tvam, your goodness, paryaṭann, traveling, arkaḥ, the sun, eva, like, tri-lokīm, the three worlds, antaḥ-caro, can penetrate into everyone's heart. Vāyuḥ eva, as good as all-pervading air. ātma, self-realized. ātma-sākṣī, witness. parāvare, in the matter of cause and effect. brahmaṇi, in the absolute. dharmataḥ, under disciplinary regulations. vrataiḥ, in vows. snātasya, having been absorbed in. mind, nyūnam, deficiency. alaṁ, clearly. vicakṣva, search out. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds, and like the air you can penetrate the internal region of everyone, such as you are as good as the all-pervasive super soul. Please therefore find out the deficiency in me despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says only one sentence, that transcendental realization, pious activities, worshipping the deities, charity, mercifulness, non-violence, and studying the scriptures under strict disciplinary regulations are always helpful. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurmilitam-yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gita-pada-kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Kantam Sajivam Satvaitam Savatavutam Parayana-sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhantascha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namaha Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, it's a beautiful comparison of Narad Muni to like supreme authority and the expressions of comparison to the examples which are supposed to be even in the creation and which is coming as a manifestation for the temporary period, but yet they represent the absolute. They themselves are not absolute, but they are representing, they are called relative truths. What is the relative truth of the sun? Arka means the sun. And in the three worlds, upper planetary system, middle planetary system, and lower planetary systems, the sun is one. Sun is one. Chauda Bhuvan means 14 planetary systems are there, upper, middle and lower. We are in the middle. But the sun is the main representative for material manifestation in one particular universe. And there are millions and trillions of universes are there. But sun becomes the representative. So even in the Gayatri Mantra, we address to the sun who is the representative of the Absolute. The representation of the Absolute is addressed as Om. But the glorification of Om would be only conveyed through getting inspiration from the sun. So let me be inspired by the sun which is rising and its rays are prompting me to worship the sun. So it is not indirect, but it is direct. When we chant the Gayatri, we worship the sun. But sun being the representation of the Absolute, that's why Omkar has been. In the beginning there was the Word and the Word was God. In Bible it is coming, right? But that word is Omkar. So Om is Om, Tat and Sat. These three words are used in all the purificatory processes of yajna and tapakriya. That's said in Bhagavad Gita also. And that should not be given up. Even though in Kali Yuga, people do not understand, but some rudimentary application is still there. Because they do not know properly. When we are given Gayatri in the second initiation, the word-to-word meaning is there. And that Gayatri mantra is supposed to be used for meditation. So when you chant 10 times, you understand the meaning and you meditate on the meaning. Chant Gayatri silently, but meditate on. Anybody meditates? Nobody meditates. But that is the purpose. Why should a Prabhupada get word-to-word synonyms and then translation? The Mool mantra is there. But people are becoming completely unaware of the process that is perfect. Unaware of the process that is perfect. I may be imperfect, Prabhupada said, but the process I follow is perfect, therefore I have every hope to become perfect. Otherwise we have 4 defects. So the process that Srila Prabhupada brought is perfect. And here it is praised. Now who is praising? Vyasadeva himself. And to whom? Narada Muni. So the in-depth meaning of such prayers to the spiritual master is very indicative here. In-depth. That I am a serious devotee. I must pray my spiritual master according to my realization, which are pushing me forward. So Vyasadeva keeps the humility from his spiritual master. He doesn't supersede, even though he is also one of the empowered incarnation of Krishna. And Narada Muni himself is also one of the incarnation of Krishna. But it doesn't mean there is an equal status. The proper etiquette in Vaishnavism is this. And he is candid enough to glorify his spiritual master because his activities are also very, very exalted. And this is not a eulogy or some execration and glorification of Narada Muni by Vyasadeva. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the 3 worlds. Yeah? It is the transcendental astronaut, Prabhupada said. He can travel anywhere. But he is a perfect astronaut. It doesn't need artificial, space suit or oxygen cylinder to carry. He carries the most important function to preach the glories of the Supreme Personality of God. He doesn't need visa. When they landed on the moon, it was a hoax and nobody believes yet, the majority. However, NASA is trying to give you alibis and different. But Prabhupada said, how can they go? They didn't have proper visa. So they were kicked out. If you go somewhere, you have to create a permanent beneficial attempt. At least the amount of money you are spending, what is in return? A little rock from the moon. And what is the value of it? And that rock is still kept in the museum in Wilson, which is on I-40 in USA, coming from Nevada to Arizona, and and Wilson is a little town, and they kept the museum because they trained all the astronauts. There is a crater, doesn't grow anything, so it's like a moon's crater. So very intelligently come, nobody can doubt. And there in the museum, I have gone 3 times there because I used to travel a lot. Right? So in the museum, they saw the piece of rock that was brought from the moon with writing. But they also have other 2 pieces. They said, we manufacture identical rock in the lab. So, who do you trust? Do you trust the original rock which is identical? What is it? This is called so much limited senses, defective senses. You can't trust because they are defective. If you compare your own manufacturing, idea, and then make people believe that we brought a rock from the moon, and people go in the museum, they put money, right? But this is the height of hypocrisy. Then we will say, but now money is praised. He is the transcendental astronaut, and like the sun, he travels. Is the sun going to travel on its own, or he is ordered to do it? How do you? Brahma claims, vicakṣva savita sakavagraham. What's that verse? Raja samasta murtisha shesha tejaka yasyajaya brahmati sambrata kalachakro govindamati purusham brahmana. Under whose order this kalachakra, or the movement of the stars and the sun there. So we worship the original Supreme Personality, but sun being the representation. Sun is the representation of the absolute truth. So sun is a relative truth. It cannot do on its own. Right? He has been empowered. The energy, they may call it so much gas is coming out, so much explosions are there. You can send Chandrayaan-3 just to measure the temperature nearest before it melts down. So many childish plays are being done at the expense of taxpayers' money. Instead of understanding the very detailed and the descriptions of the movement of stars, and that's how it was related to the absolute truth, personality of God. Under whose order these things are happening. And they say, oh, such an orthodox idiocy, not ideology. That scientists claim that putting up a religious understanding, but it all depends upon the consciousness, because that is the medium you are using to understand material attachment and material movements. But actually this consciousness is supposed to be rooted in spiritual conceptions, because consciousness itself is spiritual in nature. So, you approach the spirituality through spiritual consciousness, but we have already polluted this consciousness into material consciousness. So how is it that we will come to the right conclusion? So therefore the Shastras are, and these verses are extremely important to understand the mindset of the realized souls. Mindset of realized souls. Vyasadeva is realized soul. Huh? But his guru is finding out defect in him. That is the business of the guru. Prabhupada said, not everybody should become a fault finder. Guru takes the risk to find out faults in his disciples. Just to correct, just to understand the entire philosophy behind our spiritual growth. How do we advance otherwise? So, even transcendental realization, pious activities we are performing, benevolent food for life is a very pious activity, but it becomes spiritual only if we offer that prasada. It's not like midday meal. Get it cooked mechanically, and otherwise industrial kitchens are being used in India to feed crores of people. But who is the ultimate controlling agency for midday meal? Government. And everybody jumped, big temples jumped into midday meal programs. And they are very proud, just like McDonald was proud. Billions and billions served. Means how many cows must have been killed. They were writing. In the beginning they were writing the numbers. 16 billions have been served. Then they stopped counting. They only write billions and billions served. Alright? But what is the service? And we also count how many plates of prasadam has been served. Number of prasadam. What is the use? If it is mechanically prepared, you can't offer it to Krishna. You can't chant even Hare Krishna while they are taking prasadam. It's a tongue. And over, the government agency say, give them one egg. Compulsory. Do you know what Madhu Pandit said? I will give you money, but you feed the eggs. It means I don't want to be directly responsible, but I will be indirectly responsible. Come on, give it up. That's not Prabhupada's program. That's why Jayadeva Swami wrote food for death. Not food for life. Food for death. A spiritual death. So you can see, not understanding the order of Srila Prabhupada perfectly, you suddenly want to earn the name and get Padma Bhushan, Vibhushan, or what kind of award? By hook or crook. I know there was a turmoil, and some agencies in ISKCON stopped him taking that award first 2 years. But in the third year, he again somersaulted and got there. And we are not interested in such maneuvers. We are interested to understand how can we make our life perfect, individually and collectively. That is the function of this call. So, these regulations are helpful, but they are not essential. You know, they are helpful. They can help us in estimating the progress, but they themselves are not in absolute necessity. It doesn't mean that we should avoid that altogether. These are all very positive, helping aids, that transcendental realization will aid us to perform pure devotional service, not lesser. Not lesser. Oh, I have realized now I can sit behind my desk and a rolling chair and simply I contemplate. No, active service of pure devotional service is required. Because it's an eternal function. How can you stop after your realization? Only after liberation from bodily conception of life, pure devotional service starts. Brahma-bhuta prasanna-ātma na shuchati na kāṅkṣati samat sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate parāṃ. Bhaktim parāṃ means the absoluteness of devotional service we have to resume, and that is called spontaneous devotional service. It is obtained only after coming out from the bodily conception of life. So, then it is an eternal function. It will take you back home, back to Godhead in no time. So, even studying the scriptures under strict disciplinary regulations, they are also very helpful. Because this subject matter is explained up to the extent of that realization. So these verses are very important. In Vyasadeva, an empowered incarnation has to confess his deficiency, but he cannot find where it is like. Right? So, para-avare brahmaṇi dharmato vrataiḥ snātasya nyūnam alaṁ vicakṣva. He requests, please find out where am I getting wrong. Where am I getting wrong? What should I do? What should I not do? Well, I mean, what we call ordinary chadra anvesham, chidra anvesham. Chidra means hole or find out fault in somebody. That is not our. But when we are really confused and do not know what to do, that's the job of spiritual master. Oh, I'm all right. I haven't done nothing wrong. But somehow or other, something is pricking within my heart, and I don't know. I'm not satisfied. Vyasadeva himself wrote in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. These verses are attributed to Vyasadeva. And after explaining janmadhyasya tahanvaya, right, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, and Brahma Sutra was janmadhyasya, and expanded by Vyasadeva himself into 60,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the very second verse and the third verse, which are corollary to the definition of the absolute truth, we are told by Vyasadeva, he knew. At that time, he knew. It means this incident of Vyasadeva occurred before. It's in the beginning. Because the order of the spiritual master to write such a literature, which is simply glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his transcendental nature, not with material nature. So Srimad Bhagavatam becomes Amara Purana without any fault. That literature contains the description of the three modes of material nature is garbage. And who hovers on the garbage? Crows. And who is developing the interest of the nectarian meaning, which is beyond the three modes of material nature's influence. Tadavāga visargo janatāga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abaddhavadapi namani anantasya yashongitanya sharvantika smaranti sadhu. Those who are purified, they will appreciate. And we are just using this literature for our purification. We have not been purified, but we have to understand the heart of Vedavyasapriya and what is Narad-Muni's function to find out fault. Where it is not. So, nyūnam alaṁ vicakṣva. Deficiency means nyūnam. Nyūnam is discrepancies. Perfection versus nyūnam. Purna and nyūnam. Nyūnam is alpa, where it's negligible, that doesn't have any importance or value. That is sitting in our heart, deep down of the consciousness. So, again, if we go through the regulative principles of chanting 16 rounds, just to purify ourselves, most of us are stuck in anartha-nivritti. We are not rising above. That is only the 4 steps. Alright? Ādau shraddha tato sadhu sangata bhajana kriya anartha-nivrittishya. And we are not able to eradicate the unwanted things in our heart. We are simply mixed up, confused, because our process is not seriously taken up. It is perfect. Prabhupada said, I may be imperfect, but the process I follow is perfect. So we all depend upon the process, how perfectly we are going through. It is not difficult, but these heaps of anarthas in our heart, they are obstructing us to make us free even. We are not liberated, even in Krishna consciousness, and probably that is not our priority. Even though the process is there, but it is not our priority. We are simply entangled by our choice. Don't blame anybody. By our choice. So, Prabhupada said, are always helpful because they are promoting our Krishna consciousness. So this process is even deity worship, charity, mercifulness, non-violence, and studying the scriptures under strict disciplinary regulations are always helpful. We are not neglecting. Prabhupada said, if you have an umbrella, use it. Use it. Umbrella is an instrument that may protect us when it is needed, either from the scorching heat or rain. if somebody doesn't have, they may find some alternative method just to stay under the cover, so no rain will be effective. It doesn't have an umbrella. But there are other means also. But if you have umbrella, this was said about looking into horoscopes, for matching and estimating what's my future, or how the Shani's panoti, it's disturbing my life, or do I have some influence of Rahu, Ketu, lower, discipline, stars. Prabhupada said, if you have umbrella, use it. If you can guide your life by proper understanding the effects of the stars and try to protect yourself, it's a protective measure. But it's not absolute. It's not absolute. A pure devotee depends upon the Lord who is sitting in his heart when he understands that let him dictate me. Or if I'm in trouble, I will pray to him. This is how Prahlad Maharaj is said to pray, and the inhabitants of Haryashwar Desh, means it's a tract of land in Jambudvip, Haryashwar. He said, they pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. And that verse is very important. Om Namo Bhagavate Nrsimhaya Namaste Tejase Aviravirva Vajranakha Vajradranshta Karmashayan Randaya Tamakrasakasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuishtha Om Kshram. I worship Lord Nrsimhadev, who has powerful nails and teeth like thunderbolts. Kindly vanquish our demon-like desires which are sitting deep down in our heart. Kindly vanquish so that I become fearless in the struggle for existence. This is the meaning. We are not asking, blatantly putting ourselves in Prahlad Maharaj's shoes and, Nrsimhadev will protect me. No. The most practical and applicatory, prayer for everybody. Because after all, we are in material world, and material world is infuriated by our demon-like desires. They are sitting, ichha dvesh. Their demon-like desires also sitting, even though while we are doing chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, we target those desires to be vanquished. My dear Lord, before if I speak up and pray for you for fulfilling those desires, better vanquish them. Because it's not going to help me to get liberated. But at the same time, if we are able to eradicate the demon-like desires for fruitive activities in the material world, not ordinary activities, for fruitive activities, which is binding, so that I become fearless. When the desires are eradicated, we become fearless, not otherwise. However, you may try to get protection from this agency, that agency, this shelter, that shelter, nobody can protect you. when we are still cultivating demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world, that is inadvertently binding us, confuses us. They are not our friends, and they are located in the mind. So kindly eradicate them with your powerful names and teeth. If you show fear to those demon-like desires, they will not come out in the form of demands or word or walking by talking. It will not come out in our speech. If we allow them to grow, then we manifest the character of a demon. So before I become a demon, let me purify and let me pray to Lord Nrsimha. This is how Prahlad Maharaj protected himself, and he is teaching to all his followers. I think this is in 6th canto that is coming. You know, 5th or 6th. So, such wonderful prayers are there for that particular tract of land. They are led by exalted personalities. So the idea is that Vyasadeva so far did so much through guidance of splitting even hair in the Vedic aphorisms, you know. But everything was containing more or less in terms of 3 modes of material nature. And it would not give peace in his own heart. So how is it possible to go through the Vedic studies and organize our life? In Kali Yuga, we hardly have time to read even one Veda and not understand properly, because it's already been interpolated and twisted. Do you think the Veda is going to recommend in Atharva Veda, this anti-Vedic people, you know, they say in Atharva Veda it is written that if your wife has to beget a male child, feed her beef. Who would do this kind of thing? It is mischief by those who have stolen the literature. And as I have learned that since 1978, up to that point, you know, even to get a PhD in Sanskrit, you had to approach Oxford University or the Munich in Germany, because they were the so Max Muller was from that, and they interpolated all our essential literature and they put pollution in it. So this was a point of contention, and that's why Indira Gandhi movement, you know, they gave blanket liberty to kill cows, and India became second largest exporter of beef during Congress time. And still, you know, it has been decreased, but it is going on. Vrindavan and Haryana cows will be transported to Murshidabad, just a little above Mayapur, to get transported across border to Bangladesh to get production of the beef. They have every means, but this is not the perfection of the way. You cannot get liberated. And there are a lot of Congress people, even Hindus, are owning the slaughterhouses. And That is the irony. I have seen when you go to Pearson Airport in Toronto, on that highway, there are huge slaughterhouses. Huge, Canada. But anyway, if the demon-like desires have to be curbed to become a devotee, a fearless devotee, it is very important. So, if you have umbrella, use it. They will help you. Because we do not know the glory of the absolute enchanting. We just believe, but we have not experienced. So meanwhile, if you need some extra help, then use it like an umbrella to cover. But that doesn't mean that you have solved the problem, because problems of janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, they are eternally set up in material life. So, this whole world is dukkha-alaṁ-sākṣvatam, yet we are trying to find happiness because that is the nature of the soul. Anandamaya-abhyasa. But he doesn't have the correct direction in which he has to make a progress. The very first conflict will come. How can I give up my sense gratification? Because this is the only observational happy state that I feel. While Krishna is telling, yahi sansparshaja bhoga dukkhayono evate adyantavanta kaunte nate ramateshu buddha. The objects of sense gratification which are born by the sense of touch, they are the very breeding ground of miseries. And they have a beginning at the end also, but we do not want them to end until the last breath. So, those who are intelligent people, they have come to this, so they should stop engagement that are entangling them because of ignorance. You can't have an excuse anymore. Ignorance is not excuse. And Prabhupada always said, fire will burn a child even though he is ignorant of it. Fire will work. So similarly, yehi sansparshaja bhoga. And it says directly in the first canto, it will come, that those who are having, in Bhagavad Gita, in second chapter, vyavasāyātmika buddhi ekhe kurunandana bahushākhāya antaś-caro buddhayo avyavasāyina. Vyavasāya means engagement. Engagement of intelligence is only one. How to go back home, back to God. And those who are irresolute in this determination, the same sansparshaja bhoga, that bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya pratachetasa vyavasāyātmika buddhi samadharma vidiyate. Those who are engaged in gross engagement of sense-gratific activities, for them the resolute determination to go back home, back to God and by taking full surrender will never come. So we need discipline. Otherwise, even at the extent of indulging for the welfare of people, not for personal self-gratification, Vyasadeva divided one Veda into 4 and then 108 Upanishads and then 18 Puranas and corollaries so forth. But still he was despondent. So it means deep down, still unfathomable, he could not find the cause of his despondency. And that's why he is asking in a very humble way. That is the counteract. You admit that you are at fault, but you cannot find. But then you glorify the Supreme or his representative. Then mercy will still flow. So here it is, very simple, but very sublime understanding that we are getting. We should always request, please, therefore find out the deficiency in me. We do not go even to ask our Guru, please find out the deficiency in me, because I am not finding out myself. Yeah? So like that. He said, despite my being absorbed in transcendence, under disciplinary regulations and vows. So what is our hope? What is our hope? The process is perfect, but we are not accepting the process. And Prabhupada always reiterated so many times, I may be perfect, but the process I follow is perfect. Therefore we have hope to become perfect. He is giving us the process as it is without any deviation. If you see somebody else's processes, it would not be tangible and understandable. Why? People are very inventive mind. Even in Krishna giving the process directly, they want to twist. And therefore, devotional service to him is completely independent to others who are interpolating, so they may worship the forefathers or the demigods or even the Buddha Pishachas. Tayanti devrata pitrunyati pitrurda bhutani bhute jayanti madhyachino vima. He keeps himself completely aloof. He does not depend, even though else are depending upon him, but Krishna does not depend upon anybody. He is directly available. Yesterday, somebody who was sitting here asked about other methods. I tried to answer him best I could, but hopefully, because they like here, they sit here, but they won't take up the process, which is perfect. We request humbly, please chant Hare Krishna on the beads, follow 4 regulative principles. We are not asking anything more than that. So, anybody has any question?
Hi Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. Maharaj, I was wondering about, you mentioned, there's some things we can use as an umbrella, and I was thinking about astrology, and I was wondering to what degree one should take advantage, because Prabhupada's statements, there are plenty of statements about not doing demigod worship and all that. And sometimes, we might get into astrology, and the astrologers suggest, oh, you can do this yagya, that yagya, this, that. So to what degree should we even use it?
Prabhupada had knowledge of the Kaviraj and who can make that medicine, but which is, he warned, this medicine is very poisonous, but it is a medicine. And Kaviraj can make it. Prabhupada was not oblivious. He was completely aware. And this awareness was perfected. So even though body has to leave sooner or later, but because the sentiments of devotees were overwhelming, Prabhupada said, if you desire, I will stay. And they were all joyful. Okay, then give me this medicine. And they have to find a Kaviraj. By proper description that Prabhupada gave, they found one in Delhi and brought him. He was a follower of Ramanuja Sampradaya. So, according to Ayurveda, but who would be able to make the medicine? That was the question. Otherwise, in ordinary Ayurvedic pharmacy, this medication, Makardhvaj Kutika, is available. But Prabhupada is not trusting because it's commercial. There are mantras and everything has to be done. And therefore, a proper Kaviraj was essential. So at the best, Prabhupada tried, but it was risky also. And even without that, mercury poisoning is happening even through eating rice. The whole Ganges plateau is full of mercury, and they grow the rice, it has. So a certain amount of mercury you will be finding still in your air, even though you are living healthy. So it should not become the cause of despondency. People are finding such excuses and construe beyond their imagination because of that demon-like desire in their heart is springing. They got, okay, let's blame somebody. The blame game would be there. But it is not like that. So, you can use as an umbrella, but it is not a must. It can give you guideline that should not disturb your devotional service. 4 regular principles and chanting 16 rounds without fail. We concentrate on these 2 cardinal principles, our growth. Read Srila Prabhupada's books, they mean a lot. They mean a lot. Because Prabhupada already explained somewhere else the same phenomenon. Here we are getting only one sentence, but it is so much connected that he has not told for the first time. In so much reference to context that we have to do. So, isn't it the best umbrella? If you think Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's purpose are direct shelter. Is what you call umbrella at large. And a huge umbrella. He made a house in which the whole world can reside. This kind of expressions have deeper meanings. House is a shelter, but this is a spiritual shelter. And those who are wise and somewhat advanced in spiritual knowledge, they express this. An outsider told Bhavananda that he went to a person and he was expressing, he made a house in which the whole world can reside. And that is the intention of spreading Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. And it was already forecasted. Prithvite yata nagaradigram sarvatra hovati pracharya. These are transcendental statements. And they are manifested because that gives the direct proof of the absolute truth. It's not a wishful thinking that we may mean when we want. It's a timeless situation. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for another brilliant, heart-penetrating class. I have a comment, if I may be so bold, and a question. The comment is based on the point of the demon anartas, the demon desires in the heart. And it brought to mind that Lord Chaitanya, one time he was giving blessing and removing everybody's desires. And then it was requested to do the same for Mother Sachi. And Lord Chaitanya said that he couldn't do it for Mother Sachi because of her offense to Advaita Acharya, Vaishnava Aparad. I just wanted to make that comment.
In the process of our sadhana bhakti, which is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says that the next stage after anartha nivritti is nishtha. Nishtha is a liberating state, but at the same time some residual anarthas will hang around, even in nishtha stage. And you are liberated. But when you progress towards ruchi, asakti, bhava and prem, that will automatically take the toll of the residual anarthas. So you will not feel at that point. For example, when you clean a pot, some residual stuff will be, but average cleaning is accepted. So nishtha is that stage of reconfirmation of our faith. And that process is not there in other religions. In Krishna consciousness, you get reconfirmation. Otherwise, what is the difference between Shraddha and Nishtha? Shraddha, Sat means absolute truth, which is perceived through. The means buddhi, by intelligence. You have to discover that. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate asat. Vāyur drashtvanta tattvadarshini. The seekers of truth, they say that for there is eternity means there is no cessation. Right? And asat means there is no endurance. It has a beginning and end. But sat means Sat ekam. Viprabodha vadanti. People may talk in different tongues, but it is only one absolute truth. And that is eternal in nature. So, Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan comes from the word. And we have to follow. Everything cannot be Sanatan. So such practices which are temporary and for temporary benefit cannot be included in Sanatan. Even the studies of the Vedas and other things. Vyasadeva was perplexed. He could not find the deficiency in his art. And he wants Narada Muni to do. So who is exposing him the eternal, aspect of reuniting with the Supreme Absolute Truth? Vedas are, with the flowery language of the Vedas, don't get entrapped. Vedavyasapriya. Come to the essence. Essence is eternal. Everybody accepts Sanatana, but their practices are not on the basis of Sanatana. So, like that. So, in the sense that what's your second part of the question?
Lord Chaitanya, he was giving blessings freely to remove people's anarthas completely.
Because he's absolute truth.
But when it came to Mother Sachi, he declined because of Mother Sachi's offense to the Vaishnava Advaita Acharya.
Yeah.
So even though we may pray to Nrsimhadev to remove anarthas, we also have to be very careful that we're not committing.
If he cries, it is specifying to Mother Sachi, but he took sannyas also.
Yeah.
It's not a controversy. Both were leading to the absolute truth. To fulfill the desire of parents is the duty of the son. To fulfill the desire. I think in Fiji we were touching up this subject matter of Devyani and Sarvishta. Sukracharya's daughter, and that story, right? So there were protocol for Brahminical polity, but this was the daughter of a Brahman who is the guru of demons. So he knows Vishnu is the supreme. But at the same time, he will not act in favor of Vishnu. He is impelled to act in favor of the demons. But yet they have pride of being Brahman. So Devyani was understanding they are superior in nature than Sarvishta, who is a king's daughter. So you can understand the fight between them. One is an intellectual fight, another is a physical fight. Sarvishta pushed Devyani into the well because she was strong. While Devyani was strong in the arguments. But none was touching the Supreme Absolute Truth. So, that is the nature of material life. And Sachimata and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are par excellence in service of Lord Shri Krishna. The transcendent behavior maybe apparently looking like, material. That's how Bengalis are trapped generally in understanding the transcendence. They want to celebrate locally how they celebrate there and back home. The influence has gone to Bangladesh so much that devotees have their own traditions. But Krishna consciousness is well accepted in order to give them correct understanding. So we see only Srila Prabhupada, how he explains Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, that he is in love of Godhead and distributing the fruits freely. You take fruit, but are you able to eat it? Are you able to appreciate the taste of it? There are so many factors, if you want to see deeper and deeper, that will be applicable to us. And some of them we are not following. Freely distributing the love of Godhead means that even if you are a recipient, but you have to be humble whether you are qualified or not. Is it not? So, otherwise we will not be able to take it. Oh yeah, Prabhupada gives the example of sweet rice mixed with sand. It also tastes sweet, but you can't enjoy. The sweet rice without sand particles in it is only sweet as well as enjoyable. That is Krishna consciousness, and we can't, just take part of it and then say, oh, I have become Krishna conscious. No way. That's the real wealth that we have to appreciate.
A question you were talking about, you touched briefly on the Surya Gayatri mantra. And is the Surya Gayatri mantra completely transcendental mantra?
Yes. Mantra is filled with the potency of transcendence. Even Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, which was given in Satya Yoga to Dhruva Maharaj, they have the potency, but Sarvatra Vasati iti Vasudeva. The influence of the presence of the Lord, both in material as well as spiritual nature. So, influence of the material nature was the idea of Dhruva. And Narada understood that he desires only the blessings of the Lord, not the Lord himself. He realized later on, but that realization cannot give him immediate relief from the material attachment. But so he has to beg Lord Vishnu, please make sure that I do not fall in Maya, even though I have long life like a Brahma. I'm stuck here. Because this is not our original place. Going back home, back to Godhead, where we had our original occupation, that is the Swarupa Siddhi and other things have to be realized to come to that particular platform. Then we will have an entry. Prabhupada gives so much hope immediately. You just surrender to me and I'll remove your Maya in few minutes. Have you heard this kind of words? Yes. I'll liberate you. Just surrender. So, surrendering requires full faith. And full faith is not coming to the point of nishtha because we are stuck in anartha nivritti. So it's like a pie in the sky, cannot, you see it but you don't have it. So let's grow gradually, but grow. There should be a parameter of the chart to grow. All right. So thank you very much. Is there any more question?
Hare Krishna to everyone. Guru Maharaj, I want to know what our ātma does for our body and what body does for our ātma which goes over there for like mukti.
What form?
Like my ātma, my inside form, what he is doing for our body, like my body over here. What he does, that thinking my brain that I do all seva, and do I do the seva?
Happen in accordance with our purification. The holy name will reveal the form. If we are stuck in the offensive holy name, then a form will not be developed. So the name comes first. The form comes second, third comes the divinity or the divine qualities, and the fourth one is coming, Leela. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. These are the sequence. We are stuck at Nam, and you want to know your form? Just understand a little bit for your hope. If Krishna is so beautiful, and we decorate, we worship him with proper mood of services, brahmanical nature, and cultivate within our heart the attachment for such services, and then reflect the same mood to congregation. That is the perfection. It allows us, but name is the medium to reveal the form. So if Krishna is very beautiful and you always try to make him beautiful, the soul is part and parcel, wouldn't it be beautiful? But how does our soul act? The soul doesn't get into politics. The soul doesn't go into treacherous fulfilling one's, desires of power, profit and adorations. So those exercises are essential, and we have been given a proper way to do it. To cultivate. Read Tarkanto. Kapil Dev is teaching to Mother Devahuti about the worship of the deity. But you don't read. So if you do not read, how do you understand? Always read Prabhupada's books. Otherwise, puja is useless. Our ISKCON centers are meant for demonstrations and training. While performing, people will have faith in us. All right. Thank you very much, Prabhupada.